Miracle African Tales. Title: Beneath the Holy Robe. Nathaniel Okudili's life began in the dusty streets of Umachukwu, a small Igbo village known for its modest lifestyle. Born into a family of subsistence farmers, Nathaniel's early years were marked by hunger, struggle, and a relentless desire to rise above his circumstances. At 23, after failing to secure a job in the city, Nathaniel met Chief Amodi, a powerful spiritualist rumored to possess supernatural abilities. Amodi's shrine was located deep within the forest outside Nui. Nathaniel, desperate for wealth and recognition, approached the chief. Amodi listened to Nathaniel's plight and offered him a pact. Wealth, power, and influence can be yours, but you must feed the altar with blood, innocent blood. Nathaniel hesitated for a moment, but his ambition consumed him. He agreed. The first ritual sealed his fate. Nathaniel sacrificed a goat as a symbolic gesture, but Amodi warned, this is only the beginning. The altar hungers for something greater. Children are the purest vessels of power. 5 years later, Nathaniel met Sarah, a sharp-witted and fiercely ambitious trader's daughter from Onitsha. Sarah, too, had grown up with dreams of escaping poverty. The two were instantly drawn to each other, their shared hunger for success creating an unbreakable bond. Nathaniel confided in Sarah about his pact with Amodi. To his surprise, Sarah did not recoil. Instead, she saw an opportunity. We can use religion, she suggested one night. People trust their pastors more than their own families. Let's start a church. It will give us the cover we need. Nathaniel was hesitant, but Sarah's persuasive arguments won him over. Together, they founded Living Word Tabernacle. Sarah handled the administrative side, ensuring smooth operations and maintaining a public image of piety, while Nathaniel built his reputation as a prophet with divine gifts. The early days were challenging. The church started in a rented hall with a handful of members. Nathaniel would stand on street corners, preaching with a fervor that drew curious onlookers. Their breakthrough came when Nathaniel claimed to heal a young woman named Chinye, who had been paralyzed for years. In reality, Chinye was a distant relative paid handsomely to feign her condition and subsequent healing. The miracle was all it took to catapult Nathaniel into the spotlight. The church grew rapidly, attracting members from Onitsha and beyond. The couple's first true ritual came after Sarah orchestrated a baby dedication for a wealthy family. The baby's disappearance was chalked up to a spiritual attack, but the truth was far darker. The child had been sacrificed to Amodi's altar in exchange for more power and influence. Years passed, and Living Word Tabernacle became one of the wealthiest churches in the region. Nathaniel was now referred to as Papa Nathan, a man of God whose prayers could supposedly break every chain. Sarah, known as Mama Sarah, was equally revered, often leading women's meetings and mentoring young mothers. The couple's operations were seamless. Babies were taken under the guise of prolonged prayers, and the grieving parents were pacified with vague spiritual explanations. Nathaniel's sermons grew bolder. God requires sacrifices, he bellowed one Sunday. Do not question him, for his ways are higher than ours. Ifeanyi Ndukwu was a journalist working for City Chronicles, a local news outlet in Onitsha. A skeptical man by nature, Ifeanyi had little patience for religion, but he found himself drawn to Living Word Tabernacle after his sister, Adeabi, experienced a miraculous recovery from a terminal illness. Adeabi had been bedridden for months before Sarah and Nathaniel visited her. Within days of their prayers, Adeabi regained her strength. Convinced it was divine intervention, she persuaded Ifeanyi to attend the service. Reluctantly, he went, but something about the church didn't sit right with him. He noticed a pattern: every few months, a baby dedicated at the altar would go missing. When he questioned Adeabi, she brushed it off. Papa Nathan said it's the devil attacking his ministry. We just need to pray harder, she insisted. But Ifeanyi couldn't shake his suspicions. Ifoni began attending services under the guise of a devout worshipper, quietly observing. He befriended junior pastors and church workers, gradually gathering information. His breakthrough came when he met Nnamdi, a disillusioned former staff member who had been fired for questioning Nathaniel's practices. "They are not men of God," Nnamdi whispered one night. "There's a chamber beneath the church. That's where they do unspeakable things." Ifoni's blood ran cold. Determined to uncover the truth, he intensified his investigation. With Nnamdi's help, Ifoni sneaked into the church late one night. They descended into the hidden chamber, a dimly lit room with symbols etched into the walls. In the center was an altar stained with blood. Beside it were tiny white garments and toys, belongings of the missing children. Ifoni took pictures, his hands shaking. "We need to go public with this," he told Nnamdi. Ifoni published his findings in City Chronicles. The article, titled "Beneath the Holy Robe, The Secrets of Living Word Tabernacle," sent shockwaves through Onitsha. The police raided the church, arresting Nathaniel and Sarah. In their home, more evidence was uncovered, ledgers detailing the rituals, payments to accomplices, and correspondence with Chief Amodi. The couple's trial became the most talked about event in Nigeria. Nathaniel and Sarah denied everything, but the evidence was overwhelming. Nathaniel and Sarah were convicted of multiple counts of murder, fraud, and conspiracy. They were sentenced to life imprisonment without parole. Chief Amodi vanished, his shrine abandoned. The church was permanently shut down, its once grand halls now a haunting reminder of the evil that had been hidden within. After the shocking revelations, the once mighty Living Word Tabernacle crumbled like a house of cards. The once loyal congregation dispersed, their faith shattered. Many worshippers were left questioning their beliefs, their trust in religion forever tainted by Nathaniel and Sarah's betrayal. Among them was Adebi, Ifoni's sister, who had fervently defended the Okudeles. "How could they?" she cried, holding the newspaper that detailed her spiritual parents' crimes. "Was my healing even real? Or was it all a lie?" Ifoni comforted her, though he too wrestled with his own questions. "Your healing is real, Adebi. It doesn't negate the evil they committed. The truth is, they manipulated their power for their gain." Adebi joined a group of former members who sought solace in rebuilding their faith outside the shadows of the Okudeles church. For the grieving families of the missing babies, closure seemed impossible. Even with Nathaniel and Sarah behind bars, the pain of their loss remained raw. Ngozi, a mother who had lost her infant daughter during a dedication ceremony, became the unofficial leader of the victim support group. "We may never get our children back," Ngozi told the group one afternoon. "But we can honor their memory by ensuring no other family falls victim to such evil." With Ifoni's help, the group launched a foundation named Hope for Innocence, which campaigned for stricter regulations on religious organizations. The foundation grew rapidly, attracting nationwide attention. Through seminars, workshops, and advocacy, they empowered communities to question unchecked religious authority. In prison, Sarah Okudili struggled with her new reality. She had always prided herself on her ability to navigate challenges, but the cold, sterile walls of the women's correctional facility broke her spirit. Months into her sentence, a young journalist, Kamika Yude, secured an interview with Sarah. The story was to be a follow-up to Ifoni's groundbreaking exposé. During their conversation, Sarah shocked Kayameka with a confession. "I knew everything," she admitted, her voice devoid of emotion. "I encouraged it even. But I never expected it to end this way." "What made you do it?" Kayameka pressed. Sarah's eyes filled with tears for the first time. "I was blinded by ambition. Nathaniel and I came from nothing. We wanted to prove that we could rise above, no matter the cost. But I regret it now. Not because of the punishment, but because I can never undo the harm we caused." The interview aired nationwide, further cementing Sarah's legacy as a symbol of greed and manipulation. While Nathaniel and Sarah faced justice, Chief Amodi had disappeared into obscurity. But whispers of his return began circulating in spiritualist circles. Some said he had moved to Enugu, starting a new shrine under a different name. Others claimed he was hiding in Cameroon, recruiting a new generation of disciples. Ifeanyi, ever the investigative journalist, decided to pursue these leads. "I can't let this man continue his evil unchecked," he told Adeobi, who had become his closest confidant. Nathaniel was just a pawn in his game. Amodi is the real mastermind. Ifeanyi's investigation took him deep into the world of underground spiritual practices. Posing as a man seeking solutions to his problems, he visited shrines across southeastern Nigeria, hoping to find a lead on Amodi. In a secluded village outside Enugu, Ifeanyi encountered an old herbalist named Nwik, who recognized Amodi's name. "He doesn't call himself Amodi anymore," Nwik revealed. "He goes by Isoka. But be careful, he's more dangerous than you think." Ifeanyi followed the trail to a remote compound guarded by heavily armed men. Using a drone, he captured footage of the site, including rituals eerily similar to the ones Nathaniel had described in court. Ifeanyi published a second exposé, this time targeting Chief Amodi, or Isoka. The story detailed his location, his methods, and his connection to the Okudeles. The article sparked outrage, prompting the government to raid Amodi's compound. What they found was chilling: human remains, ledgers documenting decades of ritual sacrifices, and tools used for occult practices. Amodi was captured after a brief standoff. Unlike Nathaniel, he showed no remorse. "I gave them power," he sneered during his trial. "They begged for it. Who are you to judge me?" Amodi was sentenced to death, his legacy of terror finally brought to an end. The arrest and conviction of Chief Amodi brought a sense of relief to the victims' families, though the scars of their loss remained. Ngozi and the Hope for Innocence Foundation expanded their mission, working with government agencies to establish a task force focused on protecting vulnerable communities from exploitation. Adeobi, inspired by her brother's bravery, became a counselor, helping families cope with grief and rebuild their faith. "I've learned that faith itself isn't evil," Adeobi told one of her clients. "It's the people who twist it for their selfish desires that cause harm. But there's always hope for healing." Years later, Ifeanyi wrote a book titled Beneath the Holy Robe, detailing his journey from skepticism to uncovering one of the darkest conspiracies in Nigeria's history. The book became a bestseller, sparking a nationwide conversation about blind faith, religious accountability, and the dangers of unchecked power. Nathaniel and Sarah remained in prison, their once glamorous lives reduced to monotony. Sarah, now a shadow of her former self, spent her days writing letters to the families she had wronged, though most of them were returned unopened. Nathaniel, however, remained defiant. "I was chosen by God," he often told fellow inmates. "They just didn't understand my purpose." Decades after the fall of Living Word Tabernacle, the world moved on, but the story of Nathaniel and Sarah Okudili remained a cautionary tale. For Ifeanyi, it was a lesson in the power of truth. For every wolf in sheep's clothing, he wrote in his book's epilogue, there are people willing to stand up and expose the lies. It is our duty to remain vigilant, to question authority, and to fight for justice. Beneath the Holy Robe became more than a story, it became a movement, ensuring that the innocent would never again be exploited in the name of faith.